When it comes to battery life, Samsung's current flagship smartwatch, the Galaxy Watch Ultra, is in a very weird place. Because yes, technically you can push it into that third day, but the reality for a lot of people is completely different. Once you turn on always on display, track workouts, sleep with it, use GPS, take calls, and check notifications all day, suddenly this Ultra smartwatch becomes more like a 24 to 36 hour smartwatch. And after talking to you lot in the comments section, the range between what people are really getting in the real world is absolutely huge. So when we look ahead to the new Galaxy Watch Ultra 2 or even the regular Galaxy Watch 9, the big question is simple. Are we finally going to get a big battery upgrade, or is this going to be another year of Samsung telling us all-day battery life and hoping we don't ask too many follow-up questions? Well, according to the recent reports, the Galaxy Watch Ultra 2 will have a rated battery capacity of around 784 milliamp hours, which Samsung could probably market as something closer to 800 milliamp hours. For context, the current Galaxy Watch Ultra has a 590 milliamp hour battery, so on paper, this is around a third bigger. But here's why I don't think it's going to be a case of 33% bigger means 33% more battery life. And that's because battery life is not just about the battery size, it is also about the chip, the display, the software, the sensors, and how aggressively the watch manages the background tasks. And we can look to Samsung's phones to get a good idea of what to expect with the Ultra 2's battery. The Galaxy S26 Ultra still has a 5000 milliamp hour battery, which sounds underwhelming on a spec sheet when some rivals are pushing much larger 7000 milliamp hour batteries, but in real world tests, Samsung's phones are consistently managing to squeeze solid battery life out and efficiency that is competing with some of its top competitors. And if the Galaxy Watch Ultra 2 really does move to this new Snapdragon Wear Elite chip, which I really do think it will, it could be the thing that finally takes the Galaxy Watch Ultra from being a smartwatch that says, yeah, it can do a little bit longer than a regular Galaxy Watch, to something that can genuinely compete with Garmin on a multi-day level. And I say all this because the secret weapon here isn't just a 3nm efficiency, it's the dedicated eNPU. This means that the watch can process all of your sleep, your new cardio load metrics locally without having to wake up the main processor, which is how you end up squeezing out that multi-day battery life. Very simply, we are finally getting a larger battery on the Galaxy Watch Ultra, and I do think 3 days is going to be the floor here. But here's why I think 3 days has to be the floor. Battery life on the Galaxy Watch Ultra was not the only problem. Charging is also not exactly best in class. It's 10 watt and it can take up to as long as 1 hour and 40 minutes for a full charge. The Galaxy Watch Ultra 2 looks to be using that very same 10 watt charging, so although we're getting a bigger battery, the charging might not actually change at all. For me, the charging speeds of the Galaxy Watch Ultra were borderline annoying. It was one of my frequent complaints, but if Samsung has not change the charging curve or improve thermal management, the Ultra 2 could actually end up taking longer to fully charge than the current model. And this is why battery life has to take a proper leap forward. If the watch still takes around 2 hours or potentially even longer to charge, this cannot be a watch that people are topping up every single day. It needs to comfortably get through multiple days of usage. Otherwise, Samsung have fixed one half of the problem and left the other half exactly where it is. Negatives aside, I am genuinely optimistic about the Galaxy Watch Ultra 2's battery life, and the regular Galaxy Watch 9's battery is also going to be getting a bump as well, albeit not quite as large. The 40mm version is likely going to get around a 400 milliamp hour battery, whilst the 44mm version is going to get a slightly larger 435 milliamp hour battery, which I would guess would give you around 2 to 2.5 days of battery life for the average user. Anyway, here's where things get really interesting at the moment. There is in fact a third model showing up in the database, which has been dubbed the Galaxy Watch 9 Classic. The odd thing here is that Samsung tends to release their Galaxy Watch Classic series every other year, and with the Galaxy Watch 8 Classic being released just last year, it kind of doesn't make sense to have another classic smartwatch coming out this year. Now, I've got two theories here, and one is admittedly a little bit wild and out there, and I don't think it's going to happen, but there is a small slither of hope within me. The first is very simply that Samsung actually did sell quite a lot of classic units last year. I think it grew their sales by around 1.5%. It might just very simply be a business decision. My second theory, and I appreciate it's a little bit wild, is that we see some sort of ultra classic variant. I know it sounds completely bonkers, but how many people, including myself, have been screaming out for the return of the Bezel on the Galaxy Watch Ultra. It would make a lot of sense for Samsung to actually listen to their customers and execute this. Now, although I do think there is a very small chance of this happening this year or in a future generation, there is a practical reason which makes me kind of think this is a fairy tale dream, and that is that Samsung went for a really rugged build with the Galaxy Watch Ultra and gave it 10 ATM waterproofing. There is an obvious practicality issue with getting the rotating bezel to work with these 10 ATM water certifications. Retaining that 10 ATM waterproofing is important because it's one of the things that's made the Ultra smartwatch so ultra in the first place. But let me know in the comment section, do you want to see the return of the rotating bezel on the Galaxy Watch Ultra, or are you actually happy with it being exclusive to the Classic series now? Also, whilst you're down there, please do subscribe to the channel and leave a like if you've been enjoying the video. Also, consider becoming a channel member to get yourself a fancy badge for the comment section. Next, when it comes to the new Galaxy Watch lineup, we can take a really good look at the latest version of Samsung Health to get a good idea about what kind of features we can expect to see on Samsung's latest smartwatches. And after having a look myself, you might actually be slightly disappointed. So far, it does look like there isn't going to be anything new in terms of what it can actually measure. It does look like it's going to be a lot of new algorithms and AI integration using the very same metrics your Galaxy Watch is already giving you. Now, there is one new feature, and that is hearing. Now, personally, I'm not all that hyped about this feature. Apple Watches have had this for ages, and personally, I don't see how I'm going to actually be able to apply this to my life. Ultimately, if you find yourself in a loud environment, 9 times out of 10, you're right where you need to be, and you can't really get out of that environment. The other thing to consider is the current version of the app is explicitly stating that this is going to be available for the Galaxy Watch 9 and up, so potentially Galaxy Watch 7 and 8 users might not even get this feature. Now, it's definitely easy to feel a little bit underwhelmed when looking through Samsung's latest version of Samsung Health, and I don't blame you for feeling that way, but when you really look, there are some interesting things in there, and here are 5 things that I'm genuinely excited to see. First is actually the interface. Whilst it definitely might not be the final design, is looking much more modern and still very user-friendly, with a little bit of liquid glass effects going on at the top there, but most importantly for me, it's much more customizable. You can move tiles around better and even resize them. Second is the heart health score. This is going to be a fantastic indicator of people's fitness levels and ultimately how long you might actually live for. It's going to collect all of your heart related data, including vascular load from last year, and basically put it into one score for you. Third is vitals. This one is going to do much of the same thing and bring all of your data together to give you a much better understanding of your body whilst you're sleeping. Sleep tracking with the older Galaxy Watches is definitely something that could have used a little bit of TLC. This feature looks like it's going to go a long way to improving that. Fourth is a really interesting one, and as a runner, one that I'm actually really excited about. It is your daily cardio load. Now, this, in my opinion, is much better than simply tracking steps. It takes into account the accumulated cardiovascular strain to help build a more personalized profile and even workouts for you. So say if you're following a plan and end up running a little bit further because you felt really good on that day, it will dynamically adjust everything based on that metric. I think this is a really important metric because if you are on a big exercise push, sometimes you can get it in your head that you've just got to push through, but now you might look at your watch and realize that the tiredness is actually kind of warranted and maybe you should have a rest day. The fifth thing that I'm really excited about is the new fitness index feature. As you get older, it's not just about going for a walk or an occasional run. Building muscle is absolutely essential for longevity too. Now, this feature is going to take into account all of that and more, and basically give you a score on your body's overall fitness capabilities. If we take a look at the current graph, you'll see things on there like flexibility. Now, to my knowledge, there isn't really a way to measure this with a Galaxy Watch at the moment, so this makes me really hopeful that Samsung have actually got some more tricks up their sleeve, and we are going to see more features trickling through over the next couple of months. All in all, lots of really good things to get our teeth into there, and like I say, there's a really good chance that more things are going to pop up closer to launch. There are also some good indicators that Samsung might have actually improved the sensors on the new Galaxy Watches too. It does explicitly say that ages and antioxidant tracking is being improved, and we might even see a more passive version of that as well. That's something that I really am hoping for. The other thing that's pretty much being confirmed is that last year we got a 4G version of the Galaxy Watch Ultra. This year, the Galaxy Watch Ultra 2 is going to come with 5G connectivity, so for those of you who rely on the Galaxy Watch Ultra as being a phone replacement, this is going to feel like a pretty good upgrade for for you. Now, design-wise, there really isn't much information out there at the moment, but I firmly believe that Samsung is not going to make any drastic changes this year. Expect smaller tweaks like sharper corners, maybe a slightly thinner body, but otherwise I do think that the Galaxy Watch Ultra 2 is going to look very similar to the first generation Galaxy Watch. I do, however, believe that this year there is a very good chance the display brightness will get a boost. Samsung was showing off some of its brighter smartwatch displays in a recent showcase, and it might even push to 4000 nits, which is certainly something that is going to make a measurable difference to your daily life. In a nutshell, don't expect any major changes with the Galaxy Watch Ultra 2, expect refinement. And I would just say, don't just be looking at the numbers on a spec sheet. That might feel a little bit underwhelming. There's so many things that we can't test or even get an idea of yet, like the new chip that might actually give massive gains in battery efficiency and improve the Galaxy Watch Ultra 2's battery life by over 50%. Or it could not, on the first generation Galaxy Watch would be the better option, and you can see my 2-year later review on that in the top left corner now. See you in the next one.